Welcome to Unmuted by GosuGamers, a podcast that takes a closer look at the esports world. In every episode, the crews will be diving into the biggest news, hot topics, and tough issues in the competitive gaming industry. I am taking over for Freddie, who's not here this week, so I got the lovely honors. But joining me, as always, is Div. And this week we have Emma Catfish Brown, who you probably recognize from DOTA Valkyries, which is one of the up and coming and exciting projects that are going on for women in Dota 2 worlds. So welcome, Emma. I'm excited to talk more with you.
Thank you. I'm super excited to be here.
So probably the best place to start is just to give a little bit of an update on what well, probably not so much an update, but what DOTA Valkyries is exactly for anybody that might not know.
Mm-hmm. Well, DOTA Valkyries started out as us just wanting to get women into the top rungs of Dota. As far as we were concerned, if we got a woman player into a team that went to TI, it was job done for us. We were like, yeah, we succeeded. But actually, since its inception, DOTA Valkyries has grown in ways that we weren't really expecting, into more of a community, but also looking at how to get more women into Dota at the bottom rungs as well. Starting, how do you get people to start playing a game, especially a game with such a high skill ceiling? And the new tutorials have come out, which has really helped as well. But other aspects of it as well is more women talent in the scene as well, more casters, more observers, more hosts, more analysts, etc. And that's something we want to work on as well. And so it just keeps growing. What DOTA Valkyries was initially, is much more smaller than it is today.
And it's been a short period of time. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that it was even announced. I mean, it's just a few months. Correct?
Yeah, so
it feels like it at least.
Yeah, I think time feels different during a pandemic in a way. Yeah. It feels like not that long ago, but I think me and Ruby were first talking about this idea back in November last year. And I think the inception happened sort of around January, February was when we were first announced DOTA
so
Valkyries
about 6 months is when it's live now.
Yes, to the world. Yeah, roundabout, yeah.
Wow. And a lot has. I mean, I know you guys right now are doing, I think it's every week, if I'm not mistaken. It's over the weekend. I think Sundays, maybe, you do the streaming coach. There's usually a coach that works with other women. It's a woman coach who it changes every week and work with different players and aspiring players, correct?
Yeah, so this was something that we were trialing. It has ended just for now, just while we've got some other events coming up. But it was basically we were trialing coaches who were female who wanted to, we wanted to be able to sort of display their talents a little more. And we thought that Twitch would be a great platform for that. So we decided to have different members of DOTA Valkyries, so of our main staff, our volunteers, be coached by them, and we were given feedback, and basically we're hoping to make this a repeatable event, but as I said, for now it's on pause, but we did have a whole month of trialing different female coaches, and we got some really incredible feedback from it, actually.
That's awesome. I remember I did tune in and I saw some of it, so I didn't realize it had come to an end, but I'm assuming that, like you said, you have other projects in the works, and one of them is the upcoming cup that you have a tournament. So that's part of, let's chat about that. It's exciting. I mean, it's a full-fledged tournament, so this is pretty big news.
Yeah, it is baby's first tournament. We're taking it in little steps. But I'm super excited for it already. We've only got 15 days left. Ooh, at time of recording. But so we're well on our way to getting everything sorted. I've run tournaments in the past, but never for Dota. So this is my first ever Dota tournament. So I'm very excited to make sure we make a great impact even on our first tournament.
Well, since we are talking already about this, let's make it a bit clear for people watching and might not know exactly how this works. You still have registration open, right, for a woman who want to come with their team?
Yeah, so we have registration. We had registration open for solo players, but that closed on the end of basically the end of the day on the 3rd of September. However, we are keeping open registrations for players for players who have a full team up until the 12th of September. So, yeah.
Is this a full woman team requirement, or it can be 3 plus 2 men, or?
So we have a requirement, you have at least 2 women on your team. And as we're trying to be a sort of stepping stone, if you will, that we work quite closely with Fem2C, who do, all female tournaments. And we've seen that the rest of tournaments outside of that tend to be a bit more male dominated. So we see it as a sort of gap in the middle where there's not all female tournaments, but it's not all male tournaments. If we force it to be mixed gender, then maybe that will become the next societal norm. You know what I mean? So we decided to put 2 women at least on the team. Of course, if you come with an all-female team, then kudos to you, thumbs up to you. But yeah, it's 2 women at least on the team, and the other 3 can be male or female.
This kind of goes into a whole nother point, which is there's always kind of a bit of controversy, or at least mixed opinions on should there be all women's leagues, all women teams, where it's separated and segregated, or should it be mixed? Should it be, allowed, not allowed? There's lots of opinions. And in the past, I myself and GosuGamers, we've looked a bit more into some of these issues or opinions on it. On one hand, saying it's a place where there's a safety place, then it's a safe space, it's a stepping stone, it's a place to start to just be able to explore and things like that if it's all women. And in other hand, saying, but don't we want the norm to be where it could be mixed, where a woman is just as competitive, and can handle on the same level of competitive play in the teams and everything. So it's an interesting thing that you've got going here, because it's kind of taking both ends of those. And is that something that happened by default, or is that something that you aimed for in the first place? Like, tell us a bit about your philosophy on all women's versus mixed, and kind of where DOTA Valkyrie stands with that.
I mean, I've always had the philosophy that we should be aiming for a mixed societal, especially within the gaming industry, and that has, I've had that in place since before I even started working in the Dota scene. This was when I was working in Overwatch. I also made a lot of teams there, but quite a few mixed teams, but also some female-only teams. So I've seen sort of both sides of it. I've played on all female teams in Overwatch as well, so I have been on that side of things. And don't get me wrong, I think there definitely is a place and a need for all female tournaments and all female teams, and for women to have that space and own that space and become competitive without the feeling of pressure from men, or the feeling of uneasiness that can happen sometimes. But I do feel that that is already being done in the scene. However, what is not being done is sort of forced mixed gender. And that is what I would like to hope becomes a societal norm in a year, 5 years, 10 years, however long you want to look. Of course, I'd love it if it became a societal norm tomorrow. But, if I want to look at it, it's probably going to be a couple of years rather than 1 year. But yeah, I guess that's my side of things. But as you said, from DOTA Valkyrie's point of view, we are aiming to get a woman player onto a team in TI. We're aiming to have more women in the scene at the top rung of Dota, but we're not aiming to, only have female teams at TI. We're aiming for it to be a mixed gender result at the end.
The goal is to give more exposure, more opportunities to women, and kind of your path along that is what's going to work best past or how you see it, and inclusiveness is a part of that for you guys.
Yeah, for sure. And everything we're doing, is kind of new. We haven't done mixed gender tournaments before. We haven't seen that, that many. And so it's important to us to at least try. We might be wrong and this might not be the right way to do it, but I'll be damned if I don't at least give it a go.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you're right. I think it is kind of what will makes you stand out a little bit different from, say, some of the other leagues that are out there for all women and everything. They are kind of more segregated in all women. And that's what I was going to ask as well is what makes you stand out a bit more? Besides that, we've seen other projects and initiatives that are still in existence. Some of them maybe not so active anymore, and some of them are still active. So, kind of how do you set yourself apart from other things that either exist or maybe have failed in the past?
I think it's because DOTA Valkyries is so multidimensional. Like, we are trying to attack the problem in so many different ways on so many different angles. It's not just that we're focusing on, the path to pro element of Dota, especially just for women. We're also focusing on the community. Our cup is for 4K and under as a starting point so that we can get more women into Dota, and then we've got more women to lift up into the pro scene afterwards. So, we're trying to tackle the problem from all different angles. And I think that's what, maybe sets us apart from other things that have, that's maybe what sets us apart from other initiatives.
No, but especially because you are open, and you are actually not open more than that. You are aiming to this mixed gender teams and mentality. I think it's already the biggest thing that sets you apart, because if you look into so other many game titles, unfortunately, Dota has never been one of the biggest example for all women, teams. But other games titles, they do already have leagues, tournaments, and platforms for all women. While this mixed gender thing, it's not really happening, and that's something that always made me wonder why, after so many years of esports, we are still having troubles to embrace this format. I guess for one of the reasons is because you start playing at a young age, and it's kind of hard to control, a mixed team at 16 years old into boot camps and everything. But other than that, I don't know. I'd be curious to talk a bit about it with you. Why do you think we don't see that many adventures into mixed gender?
Yeah, I think as well, like, the way that gaming is marketed to women does differ. Like, gaming is not marketed to girls. There's that split where, which people talk about, where they decided to put gaming as a male topic to be marketed, and to put them on the boys' shelves in toy stores and stuff, rather than on any unisex or girls shelves. And so that's, one of the reasons why early on in life, girls are not marketed to for gaming. And so we're not seeing young women come up gaming until quite recently. Now it's, we've had more of a bit of a revolution, as it will, and started adding, either, more marketing towards young girls, or, more inclusivity in games. Like, the fact that you're able to play as women in games is something that, has happened in my lifetime, really. And, spending a lot of my childhood only being able to play as a man in every game. It is important to have representation. And I think now that we are able to change between gender, we are able to, and even a lot of games are now looking at non-binary as an option as well. Like, that continued representation is definitely going to improve the amount of women in gaming as a whole. But also esports and gaming as an industry improving and, holding itself accountable for things is only going to make it more inclusive and a better place for women to work. And with more women in the industry itself, there's going to be more women in the pro scene.
Hopefully, luckily, I would say we have a great representation behind the scenes. I mean, there's
So look at this panel right here.
Yeah.
Not only
we're
if
all
you
women.
if you think at all the tournament organizers and all the work done behind team managers, team handlers, and everything, there are so many great women, photographs, video editors, so many that we don't get to see their faces, but they are working in this industry. And yeah, all we miss is a representation on stage and in front of the cameras, I guess, right now.
Yeah, and I guess as well some opportunity at a young age. Like you hear about sort of the rags to riches kind of story of that young esports player who was given a chance and, you know, rose through the ranks and got signed by this huge team and, you know, got a huge sponsor deal, etc., etc. And it's that Cinderella story that keeps repeating. But we need those opportunities to also be open to women and for, you know, equality to be reached, really.
So what do you think? Because you were saying like you came from Overwatch, and in Overwatch there was more, say, mixed, or is it just because they marketed a bit better and Dota was behind the curve in marketing to women more? Or do you think it's just because it's a different type of game, like a different acceptance? Like what do you think from your experience now that you've come over into Dota after being over there at Overwatch, where you saw a little bit more?
Yeah, well, I think there was a lot more community focus, and it basically showed, you know, there were lots of different communities that were tending towards looking after women or women players, or, you know, encouraging LGBTQIA players as well. And that sort of community field that Blizzard did quite well. However, yeah, I mean, it is difficult to compare the two games because they are so different. But one thing that Overwatch did get right was the diversity in their characters. And I think that was like a big part of it. The fact that I can play a female tank was quite new, you know? It's not a female tank who's just armor and all brawn and, you know, only shouts her lines. Like, it's not the stereotypical female barbarian you're playing, you know? It's that there are differences in the people that you play. You even play as like a gamer in it, as D.Va. You know, that was one of my mains when I was playing off tank. And I think that kind of representation really, really helps, but also it has that polish, you know, there's that saying of Blizzard polish, and like the game was beautiful, and it's hard not to say that. When it first came out, when I was playing Team Fortress 2, I was like, I hate the art style. I'm never going to play it. I'm very loyal to Team Fortress 2. But then when beta came out and I played a little bit of it, I was like, no, that's it. I'm in love. I have to play this game. And then I lost quite a few years of my life to it, unfortunately. But I think as well, just the tools are there to find women players and have tournaments and stuff. It, like, the community had each other's back more, I feel.
So when you switched over to Dota, I'm assuming it was something that you noticed then was lacking and missing. And I guess, is that when you said, hey, I need to get involved and to do something and make a change here and change these things? Like, kind of, is this how it all went down? Or
well, it was actually a friend of mine who I played Overwatch with who taught me Dota. So, you know, he pulled me over to the dark side, being like, here, just play Crystal Maiden and pretend it's May. Just go in this bot lane, you'll be fine. Whereas my other friends who was teaching at the same time, he taught like a couple of us.
wait,
went to different lanes.
Your friend got you involved, but not your boyfriend?
No, I'd already been playing Dota for a year or so before yeah, probably a year and a half I've been playing Dota before I met my boyfriend.
Oh, okay. That was I was thinking, see, look, I'm thinking, oh,
no,
you got involved
no. No, unfortunately, Rasmus didn't teach me Dota. Luckily, I already knew something before meeting him. That was the exchange. He was like, "I'll play a game of Overwatch with you, and you teach me Overwatch, and I'll play a game of Dota with you and teach you a little bit of Dota." That was the exchange that we had
Oh, how funny.
when we first started talking. But yeah,
that's how we flirt nowadays, right?
yeah, over Twitter of all things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, I've completely forgot the original question.
No,
now
I
that
was
we-
saying like when you made that switch into
Ah,
Dota,
yeah,
it was
did I see
something that
there
you
was a-
saw, yeah, that was missing and lacking in the.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it took me a long time to get into Dota. I think it's a really tough game, especially for people who don't get a lot of spare time. I feel I have over 3,000 hours in it, and I still feel like a complete newbie. And I just feel like the skill ceiling is really high, especially compared to Overwatch, where the skill ceiling is mainly based on aim. There is a lot of conversation about when you should use ults and comboing with your team, and maybe it's more of a team game in that sense, that you have to combo ults for it to really succeed, and you need to track the enemy's ults, etc., and be more vocal and call outs in that way. But yeah, I mean, I didn't see much when I came over to Dota, but I knew I wanted to do something, but I really wasn't sure what avenue I wanted to go down, because I already had so many side projects and I had a full-time job. I was like, can I really afford to do something with your time? But then I saw Ruby's message and I was like, I've got to go for it. I've got to try.
Well, we're glad that you took all this so seriously, and we are here. And I'm glad. I want to go back a bit to how we start this discussion with you organizing these coaches days, on Twitch, because you just brought up this thing with Dota having a learning curve extremely high, and because if you think, I mean, we've talked about how other publishers might market their games like Overwatch, but at the same time, Valve did nothing special for CSGO, and still they have a lot more representation there. They have all-female teams and tournaments. Still, Dota, nothing. I mean, we had just one player that was almost to make it to TI with newbie, right? Axe in 2017, I think it was. And that was it. And yes, I truly believe that because the game is so hard to master or to assimilate, I have more than 10,000 hours, for instance, and I still have troubles from a patch to another. I have to always have the patch on the other monitor to keep track of all the things, because it's just way too much info. And to be perfectly frank, even if you are like 15, 16-year-old, your parents will always, for a girl, will prioritize even more the school and other things than gaming. Still we are somehow facing this mentality. I don't know if issue, but reality. So yeah, coaching for women, I think it's something that's really lacking in this scene, and I want to commend you on that, and to ask you if you guys, girls, want to, I mean, plan to make more about that even after the cup, or?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as you said, it is super important, and we are looking at sort of trying to be able to provide coaching for the women who are at a higher level. So we're looking at maybe coaches who don't go to TI, or coaches who are in need of employment, if we are able to sort of raise some money through running tournaments, or through our merch, or through our Twitch, through other means, and basically put that money into getting women who do want to go pro the coaching that they need to get to basically get to 8K, 9K, where they need to get to be considered for tier 3, tier 2 teams. But sort of looking at the rungs lower and looking at the women coaches that we have in our community and looking at getting them a platform is definitely something that we want to do regularly. Sort of after the Valkyrie Cup, I will be looking at hiring more volunteers and having more autonomy within Dota Valkyries, and basically hope we'll have someone to manage that event as well, and to make sure that we have it running, once a week, ideally.
All right, sounds good. If I want to apply, where should I do it?
The
Just
best
give
way
me an
is
email or something.
Do you want to apply to be a coach or to be coached?
To be coached. I'm still in the area where I have to be coached every day.
So there's a couple of ways you can do it. You can either DM us on Twitter. We also have a website and there's a contact us form on there. Or of course you can go on our community server as well. And there's a section there where you can ask the org. So ask us any questions that you want, or, you know, if you want to sign up for the next iteration, there's a great place to put your name.
We'll make sure we get those into the description down below for people so that they'll have easy access to doing so.
Fantastic.
Okay. If there's other things you can tell us that you're working on, what would it be?
So we are working at the moment with Sheepstick, Effie, and Invoker Girl to make a more inclusive Dota scene. So we will be sort of releasing content, you know, working closely with them over the next couple of months, and we'll be able to share a little more in the coming time of what we plan to do. But yeah, you know, it's great to have them working closely with us. So as well, we just announced our partnership with Women in Esports, which is the British Esports Association section for women. And so this tournament is, you know, our greeting of our partnership, but we have a lot more content planned with them in the next coming months, which you can vote for what sort of content you want to see on their Twitter, by the way. So make sure you check that out. We've also been collaborating with Spaniel, who makes bots for Twitch. So we're looking around how to keep not only our streamers safe, but other streamers within the community safe using moderation, bots, etc. Especially when we're having this wave of hate raiding, as I think it's termed. It's, you know, safety is of our utmost importance to us at the moment. So that's a really important collaboration for us.
Wow, that'd be really fantastic. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was thinking now, listen to you, when you went for this, I mean, of course, you are constantly probably looking for partnerships, sponsors and everything. And when you started doing that, did you face any kind of, you know, reluctance, or was it harder to find partnerships and sponsor for a project like that?
Yeah, I think there's a feeling of, you know, prove yourself and then we'll talk, you know. Although we are interested in, you know, we have had a lot of interest from the scene in regards to research, discussion, our view on things, etc., from bigger organizations to, you know, take that next step and get a partnership. I think we've got to prove our worth first. And I think these next tournaments and events and stuff, hopefully by the end of the year, we will have done that.
You already have a merchandise up and going, and
yeah, I'm repping it right now.
It's such a fantastic logo. So, you know, I see you guys have taken a very professional approach to this, you know, covering all the grounds and setting the path basically. So for the sponsorships, for any partners, I think that they can kind of see that this is something next level. This isn't just somebody's, you know, hobby side project, that there, you know, that there's a lot more substances, a lot more professionalism involved in it. So I want to give that credit to you guys for approaching it in such a way right from the beginning, because like I said, we said earlier, it's what, 6 months that it's live. You've already been nominated from the, what was it, the Women's in Gaming or Women's in Esports, as one of a very short list for new projects that have come on the horizon. You already have merchandise shops, you have a tournament already, you've got a lot going on, and that whole, well, let's see it, prove it, you know, and everything. I think you'll make some people eat crow pretty quick. Because you're definitely on that path to being able to prove or to show that this isn't something to take lightly. You guys are here to make some noise, and I'm just thinking, I said you guys, I said that twice, and Div started to say it and she corrected it to say you girls, and now I'm having an epiphany here in the middle of our podcast of how often do I say you guys?
Yeah, no, it's yeah, I mean, we started out quite strong. We want to keep going with this. And merchandise as well. We listened to our community, and merchandise was something that they were saying they wanted quite early on. I think the logo maybe by Casito was just fantastic, and I think everyone wanted to get on board with having this logo displayed, and by supporting us, and also that's going to help us run these tournaments and run future events, and we get able to put that money straight back into DOTA Valkyries, which is exactly what we want to do, and into these women players. But yeah, we have started out strong, and we have it hasn't been that long, but we're hoping to make strides still in the upcoming months. We have a lot planned, a lot that I can't say, quite a few things behind the scenes that you'll all have to keep an eye on our Twitter and Discord and such to keep up with. But yeah, we have a lot planned for sure.
I have no doubt.
I checked your merchandise when you launched it, and actually I purchased a shopping bag from you. And I was looking at it with some interest, because I'm pretty sure you're aware of other organizations, let's say teams trying to tap into this woman market and releasing some super weird, let's say, merchandise, clothing, not really honorable for women. And I was wondering, did you work with a designer, or those are just yours and Ruby's creations, ideas, or how did you come to these, which are absolutely great and normal? They don't yell, "This is for women."
So we actually have 3 people on board. Our design, basically, this is not only our graphics design team, but our website design team and our merch design team. They're really a very talented bunch of volunteers. So we have Casito, who is our head of graphic design, and basically designed our logo, designed our branding, helped us come up with colors, etc., and has sort of been with us from the get-go. But joining her is Pinky, who designed one of the extra logos, the sort of wavy one that comes on bags and such. She's contributed in that way to provide that logo. And also we have Strobe as well, who's helping us with the digital media side, and has basically designed our entire website, whereas Sola's been the one to help us build it, basically. So between all of these people, we managed to get our branding set and down, and yeah, I think it was, very much up to their talent rather than mine or Ruby's that this got done. To be honest, we were more like project managers in the whole situation. So yeah, I have nothing but the utmost respect and thanks for them, because they're the ones who really made this merchandise pop.
And everybody is pretty much volunteers at this point because of your funding situation and just starting out. So we've talked in our podcast before about crowdfunding and how various in esports, either teams or organizations and everything, have approached crowdfunding or the ways that they've done it. Is that something that you guys have given any thought to, or ideas to maybe be able to take it to the next level, to create enough funds to be able to take it to the next level, to pay those specific coaches or to give prize pool tournament, increases, things like that?
Yeah. So we have some future events that I can't talk about that will sort of fall under that category for sure.
This is so secretive. It's great.
But if you look around November time, you might see something cool. But for now, we don't want to take something for nothing, especially from our community. So which is why we design merch rather than putting a donate button, say, or we started doing things on Twitch and started we've become affiliate on Twitch already, which was fantastic. So now we can start including that in our income. But we don't want to take from our community. Ideally we want to look for sponsors, or look for ways to give more during tournaments, etc., as methods of income. As we know that this female representation is the hot new thing to invest in. We've seen it in lots of different areas. And, you know, I'm sure that we'll continue to see it and continue it for it to be a sponsored section of esports. So we're hoping sort of to, you know, to try and get some money from tournaments, sponsorships, merchandise, Twitch. We have like several revenue avenues available to us, basically, but we're not really looking to do a Kickstarter or crowdfunding in a traditional manner.
I know it's super early because you have just 6 months into this, and of course the biggest problem right now is with Dota and the community there, but is there a little thought in your mind to expand to other games or other you know, titles, even if they are not, let's say, super competitive?
Not yet. I haven't thought to expand to other games. I've thought to expand it in other ways, but you know, I know that that's just not available to us yet. I mean, I do this part-time. I work 40 hours a week in a great job, you know, and I love my full-time career, so I don't really want to jeopardize that by, you know, taking on too much in the outside. So yeah, so because this is part-time, we're not really looking to expand at this point, but you know, it might be something we look to do in the future if we do have success here, but we think that, you know, Dota is the first place that really needs our help.
Yeah, I know Ruby as well has multiple projects always going on and things. So it you know, two go-getters with a lot on their plates. But I guess that's also what makes it work at the same time. You both have such a commitment and such a passion for it. It's just really been kind of exciting to see and to watch you guys launch and develop and grow so quickly. I mean, I'm in your Discord channel as well, and I can just see like right there just how the community is just flourishing and growing, and it's really amazing to see.
Yeah, to, you know, have almost 500 members on our Discord community, and then to have, you know, 3,300 followers on Twitter within 6 months is, you know, sort of unprecedented success, really. We expected, I suppose, in a way, to receive a lot more distrust or dislike from the community, and of course, you know, we get the odd one, the odd death threat that makes you know you've made it, but in majority, everyone has been incredibly supportive, and you know, that's what makes it easier to keep working and keep working so hard. Is, you know, you've got so many people who want to help and so many people rallying behind you.
I've just heard very recently someone, actually from our Dota 2 scene, saying that he's actually, it was a male caster, he's actually happy when somebody hates him and sends him the worst messages, because he knows that he's so present in that person's life that it, you know, it requires him to take an action. Or he was just making a parallel that you are hating me, but at the same time you are spending time to see my work and, you know, analyze my work. So I guess if you get those super nasty messages, which unfortunately come every day to so many women, that's a sign that we exist and we make some noise, you know. So
Yeah.
It shouldn't be always taken super bad.
I mean, if they're spending that time to write out that message, then, you know, they're thinking about us the whole time. You know, we're, as the saying is, we're living rent free in their head. So if they're thinking about us all the time, do they really hate us? You know, it's yeah. I mean, it is tough to see negative reactions to what you're trying to do, but also it does make you more determined to prove them wrong. You know, it's like, you know, if I put in that extra work, I get to prove that random guy on the internet wrong, and I feel better about myself. But yeah, I mean, you've got to have that stubbornness and that strive to continue, and that definitely sometimes comes from hurtful messages, but as well it comes from the love of the community as well. It comes from a little bit of both.
Yeah, we have a very weird community. I mean, 10 years into Dota and I'm still playing all muted, you know. on pubs because I'm tired of of everything else. It's just easier to mute them,
Yeah.
which is not the. I mean, of course, the mute button is there for that particular reason exactly, but it's not the best thing to do. And I hope one day we'll get to change that somehow.
Yeah, that is always the answer we end up getting when women do portray the horrific things that are said to them in game. You know, they're like, oh, there is a mute button, you know. It's
Just
always
mute
like
them.
yeah, and it's like I shouldn't have to. I should be able to communicate with my team in a team game that's based on teamwork, you know. It's like if I mute everyone, then how are we going to win? Do you think I can communicate my entire game plan through pinging? Like, what do you want me to do? Just ping when I'm going to go mid lane and, you know, push and expect my team to be with me? That doesn't happen. So, yeah, it's a tough game it's tough when you can't communicate in a team game, for sure.
It is.
So I am curious, like, you played tank in Overwatch. What are you playing now in Dota? What's your
Position 5. Although a lot of the time it feels like position 6. I'm a very self-sacrificial 5, you know. I'm like, let me die for my carry. It's fine, you know.
Well,
as long as they say thank you, I don't mind.
You didn't start playing when you had to buy all the wards for everybody, or did you start by then?
Yeah, and you know, at the start you have to give your mid 2 tangos and awards, and then you end up with nothing. But
it used to take forever just to get boots for
yes.
a game would be almost over and I'd finally have boots.
Yeah.
Like, hey guys, I can join you now.
Now you know, since I learned the stacking and pulling mechanism, I'm like, oh, this is free money. I'm not going to spend any time in the lane with my carry. I'm just going to stack and pull. And then, you know, that's what I'm technically supposed to do anyway, is keep pulling and let them get solo XP and let them get fat, right? But yeah, especially with the new stacking mechanism, being rich quick as a position 5 has become a bit easier, especially now when the new Kotal changes as well. So but yeah, I mean, I did play position 3 for a while. I play a lot of Abaddon, but then I learned that you could also play him as a position 5, and I've been playing that recently. So
you can
the
play
purge at the
anything
moment
in support.
is so OP.
That's my theory. That's my philosophy. You could play anything as support if you want.
I have a lot of friends who follow this theory, and now and again we're like, here's a position 4 Arc Warden that I'm trying, or here's my, you know, position 4 Anti-Mage I'm trying out, and I'm like, oh, I wasn't wanting to lose this game, but but you know, my eyes have been open to some heroes as support that, you know, maybe I was a little hesitant to accept before because of my interesting picks from my friends.
Do you play with Rasmus at all? Or
Sometimes,
do you guys avoid this?
It's really hard. Like, we have to queue for a really long time, and it's super imbalanced. And like, we know we'll play with a stack of my friends as well, and they won't be quite a match to the other side either. And it's a tough game. Like, you can't just have like a fun Friday night game with Rasmus. It's like, we're in try-hard mode now, you know. But you know what? It feels so good when you kill someone and you're like, you check their profile and you're like, that player was divine. That player was, you know, I'm Crusader. And the fact that I kill anyone is incredible, you know. So there's ups and downs to it for sure.
The problem is when you play like when you're an Archon Crusader around that, and you play with an Immortal or with a Divine, even in unranked, they can get flagged as a Smurf and get a lot of reports. I have a couple of friends who are in the Immortal rank, and we never play. You know, it's like we watch others' games, we stay on Discord, discuss, help each other. Mainly they help me, but we can't really play together because of that, because of the imbalance that you said.
Even in unranked, happens. I mean, and it's even in unranked, because that's what happened, how Garter got my account banned, because he was playing unranked unranked on my account in order to play with friends to be on the same
Yeah.
level with them, and he got all the reports of smurfing and got my account banned.
I've played with Rasmus on his account, another maybe one other teammate or something of teams that he's been on at a time, and I've never felt more outclassed in my life at anything. It is fun sometimes. It is fun sometimes, but yeah, there is that problem with smurfing, is that now pro players can't just play a fun game with their friends. There's no way for that to happen in Dota, even if they play in unranked. It's not like I've ever played ranked with Rasmus, because that would be, I don't think, one, we're not able to.
I don't
There's
think
a gap, yeah.
Sure, yeah.
You're not able to, and two, that would ruin the game for other people. But even queuing into unranked, we get an unnecessary amount of hate for it, I suppose. And yeah, I mean, it's also very difficult for me to know that everyone in this game is probably 5,000 MMR plus, more than higher than me.
I keep wondering, because it does bother me that I have probably 10 years while I'm not talking in the game when I'm alone. I just prefer to mute and mind my own thing. And I keep wondering if is there a way for Valve or any other game developer to work on this voice communication issue and actually get people punished for being so toxic on voice? Because with text, I guess you have the records, it's easier, but with voice, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there has to be some way there has to be some change. The behavior report system doesn't really seem to work. I've seen people who say the N-word 20 times who have impeccable behavior score, and I'm like, how does this work? Yeah, how does this work? How does this person have if you can, because you receive up to 3 reports before it starts to affect your behavior score, I believe. That's what it says on the screen at the end of the week, I believe. But there needs to be a change for this behavior score. And low priority is a cesspool for a reason. Let's just put more people in there, more of the toxic players in there. It's almost like a sin bin, where they learn their lesson and then they can be brought back into unranked when they've learned to control their.
I'm afraid I'm afraid that before anyone does anything with this report system and behavior score, I think we're going to be able to educate the community through these mixed gender teams and tournaments. I have trust in that rather than Valve fixing something.
Yeah, for sure. I really hope so. I mean, I've had, more messages since I've started DOTA Valkyries, and when I load up Dota, when we get into a game and they're like, oh, it's Catfish, but they are mainly positive, which gives me a lot of hope for the community. This was definitely a time where people could take the piss basically if they wanted, but I've really only had anything but kindness from the community so far, and that gives me great hope for the future, that we can change, we can be a nice community, we can be accepting, we can change for the better.
Well, that's great to hear. And probably we are close to wrapping this up, and I don't want to go away without reminding people when is the DOTA Valkyrie Cup supposed to start, or when they should expecting it.
Yeah, so it will be held on the 18th and 19th of September. And if you want to sign up as a team, your deadline is on the 12th of September. So those are the important dates. And also keep an eye on our Twitter between now and then. We do have some exciting names to announce, which I can't say much about now, unfortunately. But if you keep an eye on our social media, you'll be able to see who we've got.
We'll make sure, like I said earlier, we'll include all of those in our descriptions, and also kind of make sure we tag along for the episode to you guys as well, so we can continue to promote and push that forward. So if there's anything else, any shout outs or anything else you want to give, Emma, before we
Well, of course, for Ruby, I couldn't do any of this without Ruby.
So Ruby is a doll. She's really a really hardworking, passionate person, and I'm excited to see that you both working together on this. So
Yeah, definitely. But she needs to like relax more, do less things.
you hear that, Ruby? We're all on you now.
We all know now. We know your secrets of how much you do. So, you can't do it all. No, but yeah, Ruby is a great shout out, but all of our volunteers as well, who have made this tournament possible. And yeah, I'm super excited to see how it turns out, and also get any feedback for how we can improve for future tournaments as well, and create bigger and better events.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for joining us today and kind of giving everybody all the lowdown on what's going on and just having some fun chats, exploring women and gaming and Dota and where our future is going. There's a lot to be hopeful for, and it's exciting. So thanks. And everybody else, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. We're also on Spotify and iTunes, and follow all of our social media. Until next time. Thanks, guys.